The One Port Complex is designed as oil and gas free zone as stipulated in Decree number 8 of 1986 by the Federal Government of Nigeria. Currently, over 100 oil and gas and related services companies are licensed to operate in the zone. One dynamic and international standard-driven organization committed to building and maintaining strong, mutually beneficial partnerships aimed at developing oil and gas resources while building human capacity is the Orlean Invest Group. The port consists of two terminals, Federal Lighter Terminal (FLT) and Federal Ocean Terminal (FOT). The Federal Lighter Terminal, which Orlean Invest Group initially inherited, was engaged in swamp and shallow water activities, but was in a deficient and abandoned state. Adamu Atiku is the Business Development Director, Orlean Invest, and the Deputy Managing Director, Intels Nigeria Limited.
I recall the founders took over the port as far back as early 80s, and I was still a very young man then. But of course, I can at least give you some insight as to what we did inherit, or rather what the founders did inherit early 80s. Of course, the ports were in a deplorable state. They were totally abandoned. As you're probably aware, there are two ports we do have here in One. We do have the Federal Lighter Terminal, which is called FLT, and we do also have the FOT, which is the Federal Ocean Terminal. As both names depict, the Federal Lighter Terminal back then was designed specifically to receive smaller vessels, smaller ships that needed a shallow draft to be able to come in and berth, while the Ocean Terminal was designed specifically for larger ocean-going vessels that needed a deeper draft for them to sail in safely. So that's where the two names come in, Federal Ocean Terminal and Federal Lighter Terminal. Those two ports or terminals were in existence, but in a deplorable state.
However, what started as a jetty operation have today become a world-class oil and gas service center transformed by Orlean Invest Group, popularly referred to as the jewel in the crown of Nigeria's offshore logistics support industry. Simon Volpe is the Managing Director, Intels.
We were already specializing into the oil and gas, as I was explaining before, in receiving cargo, storing cargo, and supply cargo to either a truck or to a supply vessel at the quayside for, to support the exploration and production activities. After that, we have created another company called Prodeco, which stands for Property Development Company. The idea came about because, of course, we were engaged in a quite capital-intensive project, meaning to develop and expand the port facilities and residential facility as well. As you can see, we have a camp facility also inside the free zone. And we decided to set up this civil construction company at the end of the day to be able to control the speed of the investment, and also to be able to be more efficient, because you don't need also only to build, but you need to maintain facilities. That's why we prefer to set up our company. So we decided to implement free zone statuses within Nigeria in the ports. We created a company called DMS, which basically was acting as consultant to the authorities. DMS is still existing, and they're still having an excellent working relationship with the government, and they're managing the free zone. So third company was added to the group. We needed to have a category company mainly to guarantee services within our residential facilities, because as you may understand, you cannot have an efficient camp without a restaurant, a supermarket, housing, keeping services, and so on. So we created the fourth company. And a few years ago, we decided also to invest in a new organization called Africa Machinery Services. The concept of this company is to, well, we invested more than $200 million in a state-of-the-art workshop area, which is actually quite big, 200,000 square meters of area with 45,000 square meters of covered space, with workshops, all the, I'm sorry, I'm not really an engineer, so I don't know, all the machinery is needed to maintain, repair, equipment, basically. The concept of this company is to do both maintenance and services to equipment, as well as fleet management for the oil and gas industry.
Mike Epele is the General Manager, Legal, Corporate, Contracts and Compliance.
I joined Intels in the year 2000 and thereafter Orlean Invest. As you may have noticed in the course of our discussion, Intels is one of the companies within our group. Orlean Invest Africa is a wholly owned subsidiary of Orlean Invest Holding Limited, which is the parent company also of Intels Nigeria. Orlean Invest Africa is the management arm of Orlean Invest Holding. So we are the directing mind behind the entities within the Orlean Invest Group.
For close to 30 years, Orlean Invest Group has aggressively capitalized on its ingenuity and human technical abilities to develop the oil and gas industry in Nigeria with services that meet and surpass clients' needs. Intels Nigeria Limited was established to provide the facilities, high-tech equipment and personnel to manage and supervise the provision of logistic services for highly esteemed clients.
One thing we have been very good at over the years is anticipating the needs of the industry. And you do this knowing very well your market. You need to have medium and long-term visibility on the new and upcoming drilling campaigns, major projects to be embarked on, and you need to put a strategy in place to be able to at least plug into some of these projects, so to say. So having a very good idea and understanding of the market do help us a lot in planning ahead and being able to cater with the various needs of the industry. And these needs are so dynamic. One operator's needs could be completely different from another operator's needs. That's why I said we're a very unique company in the sense that we provide customized, bespoke, tailor-made solutions for the industry, logistic solutions for the industry.
Sunny Wama is a General Manager, DMS Nigeria, an arm of the group with first-class know-how for free zone management.
DMS, as facilitator of the free zone, we have made it its top priority in our policy that companies in the free zone must comply with local content policies. What is local content after all? Domiciliation of the spend of Nigerian economy. And what is free zone? Anybody can look at free zone. Yes, foreign territory. Foreign territory, physically, where is it? It's in Nigeria. And so before even the local content board, monitoring board was created, the free zone has become a forerunner. Why? Because the free zone has tried to bring all the foreign integration of materials that are used to drill oil, or all the components of oil requirement, have tried to bring them into this soil, though classified as foreign territory, but they are done in Nigerian shores. And so we have created employment generation. Apart from employment generation, we have also encouraged capacity and skills acquisition. And so how do we do this? by bringing the expatriates here to teach and partner with Nigerians, such that the things that are done here done in China, I can tell you, take example of pipe threading and pipe coating. It's been done in Argentina before this time, but today they are all done here, and this is a forerunner to the policy of the local content.
Taking advantage of the federal government's intention to increase indigenous participation in the petroleum industry by signing into law on the 22nd of April 2010, the Nigerian Content Act for the oil and gas sector in terms of human materials and economic resources. Intel's Nigeria Limited offers a one-stop shop solution to add value to client needs.
Why would you want to do business with Intel? You want to do business with Intel because we're the #1 and best logistics service provider in Africa, so to say. And our services are top-notch. We have the best equipment, state-of-the-art, world-class facilities.
For Mike Epele, the organization is indeed well-positioned to help clients significantly reduce transport and handling costs, as well as minimize risk of cargo damage.
Robust local content policy as a company. And indeed, even prior to the promulgation of the Local Content Act, we have excelled in that aspect. As of today, we have created employment for 20,000 direct employees, 50,000 indirect. 95% of those employees are Nigerians. Almost 70%, 69% are from the host, the local communities, in the areas in which we operate. So there's a lot of emphasis in employment and retention training of Nigerians. And of course, we also have a succession policy that even where we have expatriates in our organization, ultimately, the ultimate aim, the ultimate goal is that over time, Nigerians will take over positions of responsibility in our entire organization. I will attribute it to the quality of our services. We maintain very high standard of services that we provide. We are ISO certified as a company, and just as I mentioned to you, wherever we operate on a 24-hour basis. I believe we revolutionized the 24-hour operations in the port in Nigeria. It was not so before we came on board. And again, as I mentioned, that we provide a complete range of all the services, facilities that clients operating in the oil and gas industry will require to support their operations. So if you come into our base, we are capable of supporting your operations from the beginning to the very end. We provide port and camp facilities, so we provide residential facilities also, port and terminal operations. We also provide other add-on facilities and services which not only directly by us, but we can also, because of the availability of other service providers with whom we also go into joint ventures in order to satisfy all the requirements of our clients.
Incorporated in March 1996, Property Development Company Limited, Prodeco, originally established as an in-house construction arm of the group, is today a major player in the oil service sector, as clients are offered services in line with best global practices in the biggest oil and gas free zone in the world, ranging from 1 to 4 bedroom apartments.
International standard must be respected, so the oil and gas, they are more focused on the safety and the quality of the job that we are performing. This is also a another added value that working with the oil company we are having, so we are obliged to respect the high standard, and we are applying the same high standard requested by the international oil company also to our activity. Plus the follow-up and the management of the organization through the ISO certification that I mentioned to you. We are ISO registered since 2009. So it was a long process, and we are following every year because you have to renew the registration under ISO every year. So we are under continuous control of our quality in performing the job. This is quite, I don't want to say that it's unique, but it's something more because apart the big organization, in Nigeria the middle-sized company, construction company, they have a long way to reach this level of quality, and we are doing with the local people. This is important to say. I would like that the Nigerian content will be applicable to all the companies for whatever is to be done, because so in this case you are bringing the people from a very low level, you are bringing them up.
Leveraging on the Local Content Policy Act, Orlean Invest Group, through the Pipe Coaters Nigeria Limited arm of the group, deploys and maintains cutting-edge technology to improve overall efficiency of its clients' needs in record time.
When we started again specializing in the oil and gas, we noticed that most of the oil-producing companies and service companies were importing cargo to the port, taking their cargo to an outside yard, to then most of the times bring it back to the port to send it offshore. So the logistic and handling cost was amazing. Our idea and our concept, which is still the same one from the beginning, was to create a place whereby you could receive your material, store your material until it's needed, or assemble your material, change the nature of adding value to the material, especially from when ONE was declared as a free zone, because it's bringing a lot of benefits in terms of taxations, expatriate quota, and so on. So this actually allowed even more industrial activities in the port. Anyway, the idea has always been to create a one-stop shop, whereby a producing company such as Total or ExxonMobil or Chevron, Texaco, or any, or they're all supporting their activities out of ONE, could receive cargo. At the same time, could have a number of vendors, that's how they normally are called, suppliers, which can also import, store, and sell their products at the right moment in one area. And by logic, this area was to be in a port, because 90% of the material is actually imported by shipping lines. So the most logical approach was to eventually create an industrial area within a port area. And this is our concept and our vision, if you like, and this has not changed. Of course, it has developed, because in the meantime, as technology improved, as local content demanded more and more technology and know-how to be present in Nigeria, and with all due modesty, I believe our group has assisted in a way in reaching the level we are now.
Henry Andrew is a control and verification specialist.
We ensure that we comply with standard specifications in the market, in the industry, and we ensure that our equipments are up to date in terms of calibration, in terms of upgrade. Recently, we bought a new equipment for measuring specific heat capacity test, which we were actually doing outside Nigeria, but today we are measuring this test verification in Nigeria. And I can go on and give you a lot of improvements that we have made in the industry. We have a lot of training that are specialized on the coating. We have what we call coating inspector program, which is one of the best inspector program we have in the industry. And as I speak to you right now, we have 2 of our inspectors. They have the highest certification level in this course. And from time to time, we undergo training on regular basis, classroom, online.
The Nigerian Content Act stipulates that every company executing a project in a community must establish a project office in that community with an attendant retention of locally created Nigerian content, which in turn stimulates the growth of the local communities, including associated derivatives from oil and gas production. Orlean Invest Group makes huge investments in training the personnel to meet up with development in the oil and gas industry.
Trying to promote human capital development. As we all know, your employees are your most important assets. So what we do is to heavily invest in them by sending them on training, refresher courses. As is today, we have just recently completed a multi-million-dollar training facility. So this is all aimed at harnessing and recruiting young, competent, smart individuals that could come and help us with our growth.
Femi Famure is a finance and admin manager, Prodeco.
Nature of our job requires that we employ all cadres of workers, starting from those who they want to call trainees or helpers, that is, those who might not have actually gone to any school or might not have acquired any form of education. They come over here and they see the place as a technical school, where if you come in around, you pick any trade you want to join, from tiling, masonry, fitting, painting, and all that. But after a few years, let's say 2 to 3 years, if that particular helper is diligent and is focused, he becomes a master in that field. And then we immediately change his title from being a helper to either a fitter or a substantive person, and the career goes from there.
Presently, the group have contributed immensely to the growth and development of the Nigerian economy by way of wealth creation, employment generation, and a conducive working environment, and setting the standard for all the clients in the oil service sector. As part of its oversight function to ensure enhanced service delivery in a manner that will stimulate the growth of the domestic economy, Malam Ahmed Yerima, Chairman, House Committee on Privatization and Commercialization, was on a farm tour of the world-class facility, and he bears his mind on the projects.
I feel very comfortable that we are going to work together in reaching to terms of this work, terms of reference, in making progress in all areas that are necessary to push Nigeria forward and resolve most of the conflicting issues that are pending in concessions and private sector, and what the government should do to support the private sector and what the private sector should do to promote the Nigerian economy. Number 2, they have taken us around to see the facilities that they are managing, and they explain their constraints and where they want the house to intervene and find solutions to the common problems. And also, in the terms of the reference of our work, we're trying to see that we build a kind of a bridge. The government wins and the business also promotes together the economy of this country. They have to have a middle ground of working together. Essentially, this is the main mission. And looking at the facility, it's really very modern, though I'm not an expert in facility management and the equipment and all these things, but they did their best to explain how they operate, how they work, and all these things. So I'm very impressed with the way they explained to me the pattern, though I'm not an expert in those areas, but still I appreciate those areas.
Orlean Invest Group places a high priority on the growth of the environment in which they operate. The strategic approach to community involvement focuses on key areas such as projects, empowerment and employment. David Alagoa is the Deputy General Manager, Common Services.
What we've done in Orlean Invest is, like I said, first and foremost, understand the communities, know who you're dealing with. All too often, companies go into communities, they don't even know who is who, and they start playing games. We don't do that. Know the community, understand the structure, understand what makes them click. They also would understand the same on your side. And then we found over time that there are three major areas of interaction between companies and communities. And once you are able to capture those three areas, broadly speaking, you have, the interactive process is complete. And I'm talking in terms of projects are a very major issue. Empowerment is another issue, and of course, employment. So what we've done, we emphasize these three. That's our strategy. These three have to be exhausted in the relationship. We're starting a solar light initiative where we're also going to lighten up the 10 kilometers of road. There is also, I'm hearing talk of, they want more roads, but for now, we've done 10 kilometers road network. We've done 20 kilometers of drainage and the lights. I mean, we are talking in terms of almost 2 billion naira spread over, I think, the best part of 5 years. So that's one. If I have to choose another one, let's take the Ogu market. There's a market we built in one of our host communities called Ogu, and that is indeed one of the most modern markets in this country.
As an integral part of the business, the group make significant investment in terms of sponsorship of robust sports program in the community they operate. It is on record that Kingsley Michael, that featured in the just concluded Under-17 World Cup in Chile, is a product of the academy sponsored by the group.
We have a very robust sports budget. In fact, I think every year in December, January, depending on how the year goes, we have the inter-community competition where all the communities come together, we kit them, we train them. It's a league, it runs for about 2 months. And then there is the final. It's done at the stadium, the commissioner is invited, hopefully this year maybe the governor will come as well. And then there's this camaraderie. I mean, I think that's a good thing about it. You have all our communities, all our community youth, you mentioned youth earlier, are all together, almost like an Orlean family, all playing together towards the achievement of a cup. And we do that. Then in one of the communities also, I think in Ogu, we sponsored a badminton event. And then the people that won that event now went on to the state and became the first team in the state. So we sponsor traditional wrestling events in places like, traditional in Obunabali, or I think Rumukushi as well. And of course, the jewel in the crown in terms of sports development is the Football Academy, where we have taken, and this is corporate social responsibility now, it goes beyond our communities. We've opened an academy, a football academy. Anybody can apply. It's open to every Nigerian. You apply there. It's very strict though, because it's limited. We take the best and we train them. Now, the benefit of that is twofold. Firstly, they're still going to school. It's not as if they're playing football all from morning to night. So we're getting them trained in school. We are also now getting them into an academy that's where their skill is being developed in football. And of course, what has happened is that a few of them have actually gone on. The academy extends in Croatia, where they go and start playing in club sides in Croatia, and that has been we've been very, very impressed actually with the success, and we were, I tell you, very, very, very impressed when one of our students, Kingsley Michael, participated in the Under-17 World Cup at, I think it was in Chile this year. Exactly, he was our product. So that's CSR in practice.
These contributions are the guiding principles building human capacity and a healthy growing society. Mike Epane also lends his voice to the commitment of the group in this regard.
We are one of the companies in Nigeria that can hold our heads high when it comes to the issue of CSR. Wherever we operate, we have enjoyed very cordial working relationship with our host communities. From the last figures that has been made available that I have seen, between 2006 and 2015, we have spent 12.4 billion on CSR, providing various facilities. Indeed, I can oblige you a copy, and these are verifiable.
Little wonder, therefore, that the group is a recipient of numerous awards, both national and international.
We've had incidents where in one or two of the host communities we've been awarded titles, which in the African context indeed suggests that it's almost a thank you to the company. So that's a highlight. You know, everybody likes to thank you, and I'm sure the company does as well. And I think most, in an international context, in 2013, Orlean Invest won the Best Community Engagement Award in Africa. So that was, and then the reason given was because of our mission statement, and the board or whoever assessed it felt that CFI International were the assessors, the risk assessors, I think, and their perception was that our mission statement, where I said we want to do it fundamentally with the communities and we are working together with them.